Hey everyone, it's Mrs. Thompson. I'm the College and Career Counselor at Hillsborough High School. This video is specific to Hillsborough High School rising seniors and is designed to help you figure out exactly what to get started on this summer so that you can hit the ground running when we get to the fall. So my goals for you are really to kind of minimize your work effort as much as possible. So minimize the number of unique applications that you need to complete, minimize the number of essays you need to do. Basically, just make sure you're not spinning your wheels and you're using your time wisely. Best way to do that is to make sure you're applying to a manageable, balanced list of schools, that you're doing your research ahead of time to make sure that you're spending your time on the right work. And that's what this presentation is going to help you do. And our real goal here is to help make sure that you are doing the best possible job on every application that you submit so that you can maximize your chances of getting in and getting some merit scholarship from those schools. So we don't want to see you spinning your wheels. So first thing to really do is get organized. You can choose to do this whatever way you want. So my recommendation is that you take a look at the schools that you're definitely applying to at this point, start with them, and go to each college's undergrad admission website, look under first year students, and you're looking for some type of checklist that tells you what you need to submit. And then you want to find that information for each of the schools you're looking at applying to, because you need to know who needs what, who's using what type of application, who needs how many letters, etc. And then you want to compile that info. How you compile it, I don't care. It's really up to you. I have a college application tracker. It's linked here in this presentation. I'll send it out in subsequent emails. And it's also available in your assignments list and in your Google Drive. So it's everywhere in SCOIR for you to find it there. You can make a copy of it, create it, customize it to your own needs. That's a fine way to do it. Your Notes app on your phone is fine. A Google Sheets spreadsheet you create your own is fine. Paper is fine. I don't really care. Find some way to organize this info, because at the end of the day, students, you're responsible for knowing when the deadlines are and making sure that you've met the requirements to apply to each of these schools. So you want to do that stuff up front. This is some of the types of information you're looking for. I would say the key things that I'm always worried about earlier in the process are what types of applications do they accept? Do they use the common application, the SCOIR or coalition application? Do they have their own application? Do they accept 2 or 3 different types of applications? What are their deadline options? Early decision, early action? Is there an early scholarship deadline that you care about, or an honors program deadline that you care about? Those things are needed early on. We need to know if test scores are required so that you can start to make some decisions about what you're doing there. Does this mean, I really want to apply to University of Tennessee. I don't have any scores. I need to sign up for a fall SAT. That's good stuff to know this summer, right? How they're getting your grades. How many letters? Did I ask enough teachers? Was this particular school specific about what type of letter they need? You want to know that stuff over the summer as well. So here's kind of a little bit of listing of some suggestions that you might want to be looking at. Other people might have other things they need to look at. My friends who are applying to audition-based schools or portfolio-based schools, you need to look for the specifics for each of those schools, because there's not a universal application process for college. Though I wish there was, it would make things a lot easier. So I mentioned earlier, these were my top 2 things that I thought you really needed to know. How to apply, which application, and what the deadline options were. Because the reason I say that is because that really allows you to organize your entire work effort going forward. And that goes to that whole idea of minimizing the number of unique applications you're completing, right? And so there's no reason that if you're applying to Rutgers and Penn State and UDEL that you need to be using 3 different applications and filling in your name and address info 3 times. All 3 of those schools take the Common App. You can just use the Common App and apply to all 3 of those schools. Colleges do not give preference to which type of application you complete, so you can do whatever works best for you based on where you're applying. One key thing is for students who know that they're going to have long college lists, and that's kind of a topic for another day, but if you know your list is longer, you have more than 20 schools, it's important to know that the Common Application has a hard limit of 20 schools on it. So if your list is going to be long, you really need to plan from the start and make sure that you allocate some of those schools to other types of applications to make sure that when you get to those schools with January deadlines, you still have room on the Common App to apply to them if that's the only application form they take. So you need to do that work ahead of time. Some things about timelines. For the most part, I really don't recommend submission of applications over the summer for most schools. Um, schools For most schools, there is not preference to when a student applies. Most schools have a deadline system and don't start reading applications until closer to that deadline. At this point, colleges are, for the most part, worried about the kids that are starting this year in September. They are not worried about you yet, and they're not ready to start looking at your application. They have not trained on reading applications yet, so there's not really so much benefit to submitting things early. Some exceptions. University of Pittsburgh starts accepting applications in August. If you want to submit to them sometime in August, feel free. They don't require a transcript. Everything is self-reported. They don't look at letters of recommendation. It is all solely work you do. So if you want to submit that application, go ahead. They review their applications on a rolling basis. I find that the earliest students usually hear in mid-September. Some of the larger southern schools, Alabama, Clemson, a couple of others that are mostly big SEC conference schools, do try to encourage students to apply earlier. Remember, most of their base group of students start school in early August, so that is the reasoning for that. You can go ahead and apply to those schools early if you want, but one thing to remember is that your schedule is really not set in stone, your course schedule for next year, until we really get into September, right? You're going to find out on August 20th when schedules release, what your schedule is, but let's be real. I know a lot of seniors, try to make some changes when we get back in the beginning of the year. Remember, anything you've reported to them, you will need to update with them if you make any changes. So if you drop a course, pick up something else, you need to notify the college. If they've already made a decision on your application, that change could affect your application result. They may, have a problem with that and no longer want to admit you once you've changed the course. So that's one reason that I, suggest to students that they wait. Also, that gives you opportunity to have me look your stuff over, your counselor look your stuff over, make sure you're not missing anything or messing anything up. Still get things out in plenty of time in September and October. In terms of transcripts, letters of recommendation, we begin sending those in late September, really at the earliest, once we've gotten through the add drop time of scheduling. We may not be able to send out your things to deadline day. Our goal is to get everybody's stuff out on time. As long as you've communicated with your counselor what's going on, you follow our directions and our deadlines, please trust the process. As long as you do what you need to do by the deadlines, we will make sure that our stuff gets out by the deadlines as well. We send out a lot of stuff. Yes, you are important to us, but so are the other 599 seniors. So our goal is to get everyone's stuff out on time and prioritize that, not getting one particular student out earlier than others. Just make sure you're communicating. So here's some tips for making sure that you get through this process and you come out on the other side and you feel confident and happy with the way things went. As I said earlier, that manageable, well-constructed list is really important. Don't go rogue. Don't feel like you need to keep up with what other people are doing. Stay in your own lane. Make sure that you have a good list for you, and don't be influenced by what your friends are doing. Utilize this time over the summer to get ahead, especially those of you that play fall sports or in marching band and have other heavy commitments in the fall months. You will be very glad. Your September self will very much be glad that your July and August self did something. Do just the stuff that you can take off your plate. I'm not saying like go crazy. You don't have to do everything, but there are some basic things you can get off your plate that will be decreasing your overall workload. Follow directions and ask for help, especially in the fall. Don't feel like you need to go this process alone. We are not mind readers. We will try to reach out to students that we feel we haven't heard from. But go ahead and reach out. Let us know you need help, because that's how we can give it to you. There's lots of resources that are going to be available to you. You will receive regular emails throughout the process from me with all of our resources that are available. So what are some actual things you can get done on your own this month in July that aren't going to take a ton of your time and don't take a ton of brain power? First of all, let's just talk about what SCOIR is and if you can avoid using it. No, you cannot avoid using it if you are applying to any college at all, including RBCC. SCOIR gives us one place to process everything for you. There are lots of different application types. I mentioned that earlier: common applications, school applications, SCOIR applications. All of these things are managed in the SCOIR system. So students will list for us, I'm applying to this college, I'm using this application type, and it has this deadline. And then SCOIR communicates with teachers and counselors to let us know that information. It lets us know what materials need to be sent for that student, if anything, when they need to be sent by, etc. So that's really valuable because it pulls everything all into one place. Remember, I said we send out more than 5,000 packets of information for students applying to schools. That's a whole lot. It also allows us to see what's going on with the students' decisions. Students can record their decisions there. We update some as well. That allows us to see, is a student heading in a good direction? We see some accepts from schools we should. Do I see any surprising decisions? I see some denies or defers where I thought a student was going to get in. As a college counselor, I'm always looking at students' lists to see, hey, how does this look? Do I see some places here they're definitely going to get in? Am I worried? I try to put up that flag early if I'm worried and let you know that I think you need to add some more safer options on your list. Students, please don't be insulted. I just want to make sure that you're going to have lots of options when we get down to it at the end of the process. So it's another good way to let us help you. Some students will utilize SCOIR to apply to colleges. That's the coalition application. Some students will use that method, and that's okay. It's also super transparent, so it's a great way for students and families to be able to see what documents have already gone out to colleges when they went. It really helps in that troubleshooting process when a school is emailing you telling you that your application's incomplete. It'll help you figure out why, if we sent stuff, and help us all to track it down together. Something that's new in SCOIR this year that we're using is the to-do list. Basically, it's called assignments. It's located right on the first page of SCOIR. So when you're not sure if you've done things, this is the first place to look. However, one thing that's a little bit tricky is that you're the one who has to mark them as complete. They don't get automatically marked as complete, but it's still there. So some things you're going to see there are around completing a brag sheet, registering for full SATs, creating a Common App account, etc. You've probably already done several of these things. So you can go in today and start marking those things as complete. Know that not every single thing on there applies to everybody, and that's okay. If you know it doesn't apply to you, mark it as complete so it goes away. But it's a good way to help you stay on task, and it's a good way, if you're not sure where to find things, if you find it on your assignments list, there's always going to be a blurb from me, and I'm always going to give you directions for exactly how to do the thing that I'm telling you to do. Here's a whole bunch of one-time tasks that you can get done over the summer to take things off your list. Many of these things honestly don't require a whole lot of brain power. So they're good things to get done when you feel like you want to make some progress, but you're maybe feeling a little too overwhelmed to work on essays or something like that. There's a lot of things here that you can do quickly, cross them off your list, and you're not going to have to come back to them. So we're going to go through some of these things in detail. So one thing is the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. It's called FERPA. There's a special waiver for that. And that waiver is located when you first log into SCOIR. If you haven't done it yet, you'll see a box for FERPA waiver and a button called Get Started. You can do it from there. You can also access it by going to Me and then view my profile. You'll see it there, the FERPA waiver. It looks like this once you open it up. Basically, this is about whether once you go to a particular college, whether you want the ability to view the materials in your application file at that college once you've already been accepted, once you've enrolled, and once you're on campus, if they keep that info. In general, you'll see here in bold, colleges do prefer to know that the information that's in your application file is going to remain confidential. So they would really like to see you grant this first option here, the waiver, and say, hey, I'm cool with the fact that I'm not going to see this stuff. Some things to know. So the biggest concern tends to be around letters of recommendation. Regardless of what you pick here, your letters of recommendation are confidential from Hillsborough High School. We are not sharing your letters with you. Your teachers are not sharing your letters with you. Rest assured that no one is agreeing to spend their time to write a letter of recommendation for you if they don't think they can write a positive one. If they feel like it's going to be kind of lukewarm or they just don't know you well enough, or they wouldn't recommend you, they're going to suggest to you that you ask somebody else. And your counselor and I can help you navigate figuring out who else to ask if you need some help there. But if someone's telling you, hey, I think you should ask someone else, you should take that hint and ask someone else. Everyone else, if they're writing for you, it's going to be a strong letter. Make sure you give them the information they request, but you're going to be good to go. So I do really recommend that you grant this waiver. You will also need to do it in the common application itself when you complete that application too. But this is something you can get done quickly. Putting in those teacher letter recommendation requests. A significant number of you already asked at least one teacher for a letter recommendation, if not two. You also need to put those requests into SCOIR. So go to My Colleges and then to Application Documents. Sometimes it's just this little paper logo. I don't really know why sometimes it has the word and sometimes it doesn't, but just click this little thing here and there'll be a place there for teacher letter recommendation requests. You'll pick the teacher's name. You'll type in a little message. Thanks for writing a letter for me. Let me know if you need anything. My first deadline is going to be around November 1, etc. Hit submit. We want you to go ahead and get this done. 1, get it off your plate. 2, move it to the plate of the teacher. Then it gives them a way to keep track of who they've agreed to write letters for. And in their account, they'll be able to start seeing what your earliest deadline is. And that's what they care about. What's the earliest deadline? Because we want to get everything out by the earliest deadline. So go ahead and get that teacher letter requested. Now, your counselor, for many colleges, your counselor will also need to write a school counselor letter of recommendation. It's not required by all colleges. A lot of our big ones, Rutgers, Penn State, Pitt, they don't accept any letters at all. But most people, somewhere on their list, are going to have at least one school that requires a counselor letter of recommendation. So in order to do that, we have you complete a brag sheet for us. Parents, guardians, there's an optional brag sheet for you as well. They can both be found in the same location. Just go right to this assignments list. When you first log into SCOIR, it's on the list. Student brag sheet, parent brag sheet, click on it. It'll have the link for the form to complete right from there. Parents, you can do this from within your student's account. Keep in mind, if you do that, they can see what you've written. Or you can do that from within your parent account. We have no preference as to which one you do. So go ahead and take care of that. That's something good to get done over the summer. The information you put in is going to the school counselor and only the school counselor. They're going to filter through that information and use the information that is helpful in their letter of recommendation. So it's okay if it's not full sentences. It's okay if you have a spelling error. Don't stress over it. We just want the information. And the more info you give to your counselor, the more they have to work with, especially for those of you that may not know your counselor as well as maybe some of your friends do. Another thing you can get done is giving activities information to your school counselor. So we use the activities section of the profile in SCOIR. Click on View Profile, Activities and Achievements. You can start adding info. But if you are a student who already has a resume done, you don't need to recreate the wheel here. You can email your resume to your school counselor. You can upload it to your drive in SCOIR and then shoot your counselor an email that says, hey, I uploaded it to my drive. That's fine. We're not looking to make you do this more than once. We just want the information. So you can do that in whatever way is easiest for you. The other thing to really start working on is getting an accurate college list in SCOIR. So we've got a couple of different columns here. We've got our suggested, our following, our applying, our applied. Our goal here is that by the time you get back in early September, I'd like to see at least some schools on your applying list. These are schools you're definitely applying to. I'm most concerned with the schools that have deadlines up until November 1st. I'm less concerned with the later deadline schools because we've got time to kind of work that stuff out. But you want to get the schools on applying if you know you're going to apply. As I mentioned before, that is how everyone else knows what your plans are. And lets Mrs. Johnston know she needs to get your counselor letter of recommendation done by late October so that she can send it out. It lets Mrs. Rosengrant and Dr. Garber know that your earliest deadline is November 1st. So they need to kind of put you in that second bundle of kids behind the kids that have an October 15th deadline. So it allows us to kind of manage everybody's work effort. Again, our goal is to get everyone's stuff out on time. So what I think works real well is to get the schools on applying that you know you're applying to for sure. Make your best guess when you put them in as to how you'll be applying in terms of deadline and application type. It's okay if you change them later, but it lets us get moving and get some information for us. If in doubt, I would err towards the earlier deadline. Tell us you're going to apply early action. If you wind up not getting things together in time, you bump it back to regular decision, that's fine. But we'll have plans ahead to get your stuff out if you are indeed ready to apply. Then use the following list for your regular decision schools if you're not sure about them yet and you're kind of trying to decide. And also for maybe some of your Plan B schools. You might have some schools that are on that list that you're like, hey, if I don't get into some of these schools early, then these are kind of the next group of schools that I'll pull out. And as the college counselor, I'm always looking at kind of both of those lists in their totality to see what's going on. And when I see your applying list and I see that you're lacking some schools where I'm really confident you're going to get in, I'm going to first look at your following list to see like, hey, is there anything there that we can work with? Or like, do I need to start suggesting some other places? So it's nice for you to kind of keep those things there. If you know that like, hey, Elon is a hard no, I'm definitely not applying there, click on the 3 dots and say, not interested. That'll bump it over to not interested. That's helpful to me too, honestly, because I see some places that you once looked at and something about them made you say, I'm not applying. Some other things you'll do from here, like a fee waiver, early decision agreement. We'll deal with those things when we get back to school in early September because so much changes about your intentions between now and then. So let's hold off on it. Some other things you can do, there's teacher to counselor feedback forms. Not a whole lot you can do with that over the summer if you didn't do it yet, but you can send an email to a teacher and ask them to complete it. You just give them the link, hey, would you include this? Would you complete this? These are teachers who are not writing an actual letter for you, but they are giving input to your school counselor for their letter. Parents, guardians, there's a transcript release permission form that you'll be doing in Genesis in August. That is super important as well. And also registering for any fall tests because test sites do fill up. You want to make sure that you get the test site and center that you desire. So now is the time to do that stuff. You can also start to create application accounts and work on them over the summer. In August, you'll receive some information about some sessions in August with me. There'll be group sessions where we'll be working on the Common App here at school and also working on a self-reported academic record here at school. But students can go ahead and set up those accounts and start working on things on their own as well. That's okay. But no, we will have time to do that together for those that desire to do that. So I do recommend students to go ahead and create that Common App account. You can do it at any time, even now. It's important to know the application does close between July 28th and August 1st, but you can still work on it before then. You just want to make sure that you're sticking to things on the Common App tab up through the end of July, because anything you do school specific is going to disappear, and we don't want you to waste your time. When you set up your account, you want to use your personal email address, not your school email address. If you did, you can fix it, no big deal. But this is an easy thing to get done. It's quick to create the account, and you can start working on the most basic stuff. One thing that's important to know is Common App is getting a full makeover this summer. The new site will be launched on August 1st. I've seen some screenshots. It looks different, but it will retain your information. So you're going to see that I'm a little bit lacking in my resources to help you just because I don't want to confuse you when I tell you where to click when it only moves in 3 weeks. Students, you will need to put your Common App ID into SCOIR. We'll work on that as we get a little bit closer. Some basic things that everybody can get started on the applications is the stuff at the top, telling them what your name is, where you live, what your birthday is, your social security number, your citizenship status, parents' names, parents' educational background, where they work. That stuff is all easy for you to do. Where you go to high school, when you're going to graduate, how many kids are in our class, what your GPA is. You can get all that stuff done. That's all easy, doesn't require a whole lot of brain power. Some of the middle stuff here requires definitely more work, but you can start working on those over the summer. Your activities list, essays, etc. Portfolio, audition, interview, folks, you definitely want to make sure you're gathering info about the specifics of that so that you're ready to go when we get back in the fall and you know who needs what, because now is the time when you have a lot of time to work on that. Some of the specific info we use a lot. Class size is 600. When you're reporting GPAs, unless they ask for something different, you're going to give them your weighted GPA. That's the higher one. You're using the thing on your transcript. It is in the bottom right corner. It is your weighted cumulative GPA. So that's going to be the GPA that incorporates every class that you've ever taken here at Hillsborough High School. That's what you want to give them. It is not on a 4.0 scale because we don't have a 4.0 scale. We use the 100-point scale. We don't have a rank for you. Hillsborough High School has a no ranking policy. Remind you of all of that info as we go. Again, if you're looking at sections on your Common App before August 1st about FERPA and recommendations and early decision agreements, skip it. You don't want to work on it now. It's only going to disappear because that is for this year, and you're not applying for fall 25. You're applying for fall 26. So it'll be available to you on August 1st. Also, then students can start using the SCOIR app if they choose to. That is anything that has this little lightning symbol on the profile. Those schools accept the SCOIR app. That also opens August 1st. The other thing that we can work on, you can start working on your own, and we'll do together at group sessions in August, is working on self-reported academic records. So many of the large popular schools for our students do not use an official transcript to review applications. They ask students to self-report the courses they've taken, the credits they've gotten, the level, the grade, etc. They ask them to self-report all of that information. Some of them will have students do that right in the Common Application in the courses and grades section or in the SCOIR application. Some will use a special system. It's currently called SRAR, but I know it's renaming for August 1st and it will become STARS, but it's the same thing. And so many of our popular schools use that. I would say most of our students have to at least create a STARS account. Some schools also, like University of Illinois, require that students log into their site after applying and self-report the grades there. So different schools do different things. I help students with this in the fall. These are some of the places that use STARS, which is why I say most people have to do it, because number one is Rutgers, and 300 of our students will apply to Rutgers this year. So most people need to do this. This is a good thing to get started on. I'll work on it with students in August. But if you go to Google and in the search bar you type in SRAR, it is the top box that comes up. You can go ahead and create your account, look around, see what it looks like. It will retain after the school site changes its name. It's fine. You want to use the same email you used on your application. So everything needs to match through this whole process. Whenever you're doing anything, same email, same exact name. When you deviate from that is when we start to have problems. So you want to be consistent. So you can go ahead and set things up. Like I said, you will be basically reporting to them everything that you've taken over the last 3 years, as well as the courses that you will be taking as a senior. I have a tips and hints document that takes you through every single step. It is accurate as the site through now. If there are any changes in that August reboot, then they will be reflected once that happens. I have heard some rumors that they may be making some updates to allow for students to upload a transcript, have it read by AI, and then have students confirm that the information that they've parsed out into separate fields is accurate. So we'll see what happens when we get to August, but I do provide a lot of help for students with the STARS. It's not hard, it's a lot of work and it's detailed. Help students with it in August and also at workshop sessions throughout September and October as the deadlines loom. So those are the things that I think are really the most helpful for students to do this summer to make sure that they're getting ahead. Again, some students might do more, and that's great. If a student does less, that's okay. We'll still catch everybody up and get you where you need to be by the application season. I do want to encourage you to, while I want you to get some things done, I also want you to make sure that you are enjoying your summer, taking some time to relax. Because senior year is, it's a bit of a grind. It's 10 months, it's a long time. And we want to make sure that you get to the end of the year and ensure that you've had a great senior year and you haven't burned yourself out before it even starts. So have a great time. Maybe do some of these things while you're sitting at the beach or the lake or wherever your vacation of choice is. And have a great summer.